Eagles don't get too much time to lick their wounds or lick their wings, as the instance may call. They go right into Dallas this week for a rematch. Off that loss to the Niners, will we see a shakeup atop the NFC standings?
The beginning of the season, Buffalo, Kansas City. We thought these two teams were elite. But now Buffalo fights to get out of the penthouse known as Fraudulentville. Can Kansas City bounce back?
My Colts have been on a little bit of a hot streak. Here we are. Maybe Cleveland will give us a favor for screwing us over earlier in the season. We can get by these limping but hot Bengals and take back first place.
Oh, the NFC South. Every week, another day, another leader. Atlanta Buccaneers. Whoever wins takes the top spot. But will it be for good?
All that and more as Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee breaks down the latest in the playoff picture. We're back, baby, and we're ready to roll.
Playoffs! Oh, it feels good to be back. Week 14. Playoff implications and fun galore. Injuries, quarterbacks up and down, insanity. Nutmeg, how are we doing today?
I'm feeling fine, sir. I'm feeling fine. I missed you.
I missed you too, guys, but I am back, excited to see the fun. That's just, it's insanity right now. This week could do a lot for some teams.
Yeah, there's a lot of playoff storylines ripe for week 14. And I'm excited to start cracking them open with you. But we have to start off with the crown jewel of the week, and that is the battle for the NFC East. And of course, the Niners were to win last week against the Eagles to make this game a true battle for first place. It would deadlock their season series and put them completely square and top the NFC East. So, what do you think of Philly's chances? Now they beat the Dallas the first time, but coming off this game where they really got exposed in a lot of ways against San Francisco, how do you think they're going to fare against Dallas round two?
This game is quite interesting. If you had told me this is how it was going to be come week 14, I would have been like, nah. I would be like, no way. Eagles are just too strong. I just didn't think where we're at now. The Eagles kind of seem like a shell of their former selves right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like I don't want to say you can't trust them, but it just nothing seems like it flows. They just seem off. And right now, if Dallas is going to take this division, they have to win this game. Dallas is rolling, and a lot of people have said, Dallas's schedule has been okay. They've done what they've supposed to do. They beat the teams they're supposed to. They've had some hiccups here and there, but for them to truly cement themselves as a possible NFC representative in the Super Bowl, they've got to beat Philly. This is the game.
Do you think how much of it is just based on pure tangible tangibleness, if that's a word, versus a mental block, like beating Philly to prove themselves that they belong in the conversation?
Dallas has the talent. Like you can't argue it. Dallas has talent up and down the roster. It's whether they can do it. It's what they just have to go and do it. Like at this point, there's no, well, they're almost there. They're missing a piece. This team, roster wise, is as elite as there is in the league, especially on the defensive end. There's no excuse for them not to win this game. If they don't, then yeah, Philly's living in that Dallas head rent free, and it is what it is. So this is a game that Dallas needs.
Do you think so? After that kind of barn burner type of shoot, I mean, it started off pretty embarrassing, and Seattle got back into it. But as the game went along, it was really kind of a little more back and forth. And after that game, Dak Prescott was getting a lot of MVP chatter. Uh, do you think that's a legitimate argument, or do you think that's just the typical Cowboys, we them boys hype?
No, Dak is this is the best Dak has played in the league since he's been in the league. Let's be honest. Dak has played really well. So no, it's deserved. But I think if you're really gonna catapult him into that conversation, he's got to beat Philly. It's easy to beat the teams you're supposed to and put up those stats. That's easy to do. He needs to beat the elite teams. And if he wants an MVP, this is the game. This is the game. He beats them and he plays well. He's in that conversation.
What do you think was the most exposed part about Philadelphia in that Niners game? What weaknesses did they show that are the most glaring?
It seemed like the run game, they've gotten away from the run game. The run game just didn't seem like it was there, like it was earlier in the season. And I don't know. It just seems like there's something up with Jalen. It's weird to watch him. And, it's like he'll have a couple series where it looks like he's throwing the ball, but then, the next series after that, it's just 3 and out. There's just something that's not there. I don't know if he's just physically, if he's just not there, if he needs to rest up, you know. Maybe it's a situation where if they and you don't want to say it this way, but at this point you have to. If they somehow beat the Cowboys, then maybe you try to give him as much rest as possible because you need a healthy Jalen in the playoffs. If he goes in limping, they're not going to make it. They won't win. And I just feel that the run game has been off and they're just beaten tired. It's one of those things where, and it's also mental, I think, for them too. They've been the favorite, in the NFC. And, it was, you're winning the close games, you're pulling the games out sooner or later, you're going to lose a game. And I think they just need to kind of sit back and get back to what they do, try to run the ball and just keep it simple.
If anyone hits DeAndre Swift like the Niners did, I feel like he might be okay with the Eagles forgetting about the run game. Let him avoid the abuse.
Like seriously, like he took a whipping, and it was just like, all right, they're just tired. They've played well, but you can't. You're not gonna. It reminded me of the Vikings last year where they were pulling out those one score victories, like barely winning, just pulling these out at the last minute. Sooner or later that ends, and you've got to be able to bounce back. So now we're going to see the mental makeup of this team. Can they say, okay, fine, we took a whooping because usually they've been the ones who've been doing the whipping. Now we've got to handle Dallas. Can they mentally get up for that and say, all right, let's do it? Because if it's 2 weeks in a row where they get handled, the fear of playing Philly is no more.
What's a more roadblock as far as like I don't want to just simply ask you to pick the game, but
Mm-hmm.
is it a worse thing for Philly to have these holes exposed and trying to come back, making themselves whole again, or is the worst thing with Dallas dealing with all this pressure? Everyone's talking about them. Everyone's talking about Dak. The Weedham boys are out and about in full force. Which one's worse as these teams try to kind of capture this?
I I want to say it's almost worse for Philly. If I if I'm a Philly fan, I would have rather have lost earlier in the season like this and kind of work our way back. Kind of like the 49ers. We had that point when we were like, I don't know. They had went on a losing streak. We didn't know if they were going to bounce back, if they were going to be that team that was going to basically handle the Eagles because we felt the Niners and the Eagles were the two best teams in the NFC. So we figured they were on a collision course. Now the Niners have all of a sudden flipped it around and they look like the dominant team we thought they were. The Eagles now have to sit there and say, okay, these are our holes. We've got to fix them and we got to fix them quick because it's week 14. You only got a couple more weeks and then the playoffs hit. If this is where you start to dive in you start to nose dive, that's not good. And all these other teams are starting to pick it up. You're ripe for the picking.
Now, I'll ask you who you think's gonna win. I'll give you the line. Dallas is a 3.5 point favorite. So
Mm-hmm.
if we think like, okay, where's Vegas trying to push this? You think like they want people to get on Philly because like 3.5, there's no way. This is a field goal game tops. This is gonna be super close.
Mm-hmm.
They want people to pile on Philly, so that means Dallas is gonna win by a touchdown or more. Who do you
Right.
got?
I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I got Dallas.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go with Dallas. I just think right now they're starting to click. They've produced at all aspects of the game, and Philly's licking their wounds. If Dallas gets off to a hot start, I don't think Philly can come back. Right now, Philly, I don't believe is built to come back from behind. They, for some reason, they just aren't showing that ability. And with that Dallas defense, they're going to smell blood in the water, especially if Jalen isn't 100%.
Mhm.
So no, I'm taking Dallas.
Of course, this is the Sunday night game, so unfortunately, our audience will have to wait until bright and early Monday morning to hear your
To hear,
cries.
dang, I was wrong again. Jeez Louise, don't bet your house on my picks. Yeah. So,
Well, if
but
you're wrong,
no,
you get to tear Dak a new one, and that's fun too.
yeah, that's true. I get to take it out on the Dallas fans and be like, that's it, one and done, one and done. You had me.
That's right. um, they don't call him Bucks McStar. Um,
No,
so
shoot.
the next game, we're gonna have some fun with this one because they are your. Can I get a fraudulent? Can I get a fraudulent?
Fraudulent.
The Bills head into Arrowhead this week, and it's only the Chiefs are only favored by one. Uh, so the Bills are coming in fresh off the bye week. The Chiefs are definitely licking their wounds a little bit. They had an opportunity to hold on to the number one seed last week, and they lost to the Packers. Um, so and this is and Kelsey really wasn't much of a factor in that game. So now the kind of crows are come home to roost, if that's the expression, and
Mm-hmm.
not Patrick not developing a relationship with his other receivers is really starting to hurt because you take Kelsey out now they look pretty average. So this one, it's funny because this game we're used to them battling each other in the playoffs, and we
Mm-hmm.
figured they would still be two top teams going to this year. So right now, we look at this game and we think I kind of like a 1 point spread is almost makes a lot of sense because it's really almost a pick 'em. I don't have a lot of faith in either one of them.
No, I don't. After last week with Kansas City, no one is scared. No one's scared of Kansas City anymore. I believe that aura of, oh, here comes Kansas City. I believe teams can honestly say, no, we can beat them because they're one dimensional now. Pachenko's out this week. He's out with a shoulder injury. So you're telling me Clyde, Mr. Clyde is going to all of a sudden show up and bust for 120, 25 yards. He's been on the bench,
I was gonna say when he's barely been used this year.
like seriously. So now you've got that. Yeah, Kelsey non-existent, non-existent, and people are like, well, if he wasn't dating Taylor Swift, this wouldn't be happening, and all this. And no, I think it's a situation where teams honestly have been able to kind of say, okay, this is what we have to do. Kelsey's the guy who makes that offense run, and they've been able to kind of keep them off to the side. Plus, you got guys who can't catch the ball. Period. So, like, let's be honest, the Chiefs are not what they were, and everyone with the narrative of Patrick can make anybody great. Yeah, well, ask a lot of those wide receivers. They're not great. I don't think they're making Pro Bowls this year.
No, and
You
this
know.
one is gonna be front and center for on display for America because I'm sure between the star power of the two teams, the rivalry that's
Mm-hmm.
been in place between them. I'm sure this is going to be on national air. Plus, of
Oh,
course, you throw in the advent of Taylor Swift.
exactly. And now Buffalo has to sit there and say, all right, we have to win this game. If Buffalo loses this game,
No,
this season's done. Like they would have to fall their way into the playoffs, and they'd probably be a one and done. So at this point, from this point to the end of the season, every game's a must win for Buffalo. So they match up well. I'm not gonna, I'm not going to say Buffalo doesn't have a chance, but it's all going to come down to the Chiefs defense. If the Chiefs defense can hold Josh Allen, have him, throw a couple picks, then you could be looking at a 21-18 game maybe.
Yeah. You know what I think a lot of it is? I don't even know if it's so much. I mean, obviously, if they get turnovers, that would be amazing, but I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
they necessarily need to. I think they just need to make him one dimensional because Josh Allen is going to just do helter skelter, reckless Josh Allen type of play. And if and at some point, and he might play a clean game up until halfway through the fourth quarter, and then he starts rushing it, and then that's when you put the game away. So Kansas City might just have to keep this neck and neck.
No, and that's true, and that is the thing. Josh is going to have to sit there and say, you know what, I've got to play smart because the Chiefs secondary is great. They're legit, and their defense as a whole is solid. So he's going to have to sit there and maybe slide a couple more times, run out of bounds, not try to lower the shoulder and plow through some guys. And the wide receiver, like Gabe Davis, is going to have to show up. He's going to have to show up. He's a receiver who one game will have 3 touchdowns, and all of a sudden you're thinking he's the guy now. He's going to explode into superstardom, and then you don't hear from him for 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Kincaid, is going to have to, ball out a bit. It's going to have to be a total team effort from these guys, and Josh is going to have to spread the ball around.
yeah. We always we talk about receivers on Kansas City stepping up. Gabe Davis was supposed to be a legit kind of alternate sub and Pro Bowler type of player, and he's been very very disappearing this year.
He showed skills, especially last year, where he thought maybe this guy could be a bona fide. He could be a 1B, you know, kind of like kind of like Cincinnati, where you got Chase and then you got Higgins, where you're like, all right, 1B, this is the guy. And if if he left to go to another team, he'd be a number one somewhere. You can't trust him. You can't trust him at all. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to come down to who makes the mistake last. But both teams need these games. Kansas City needs it, I think, for more of a mental situation to kind of get themselves back to knowing that, they're an elite team. Because if they lose this game, all bets are off. And anyone who goes to Kansas City or Kansas City comes to their house, there's no fear. And Baltimore and Buffalo's just playing for their lives.
Which team is a more flawed team, and does your answer dictate the other team is your pick to win the game?
Flawed. Wow. If you look at both teams, the more complete team, honestly, I think it's Buffalo because honestly their receivers catch balls. Let's be realistic. Their receivers can catch. Let's be realistic. If you look at Kansas City season, go through those games, like play it like Madden. If those guys are making catches, if MVS makes that catch at the end of that game and scores that touchdown, they win that game. If Kansas City receivers could catch the ball, this is a totally different scenario. Kansas City's entrenched in the number one seed. My problem is though I can't trust Buffalo because even though they have skill guys who can catch the ball, they just choke it. So I would say I gotta take Mahomes magic because it's a 1 point game. Mahomes might pull something out and they win by 2, field goal, down by 1, kick 3, win it. There it goes.
Thought you were that close. I thought you were that close to
You
taking
thought I
upset.
was gonna. You thought I thought I was gonna bunk up at the penthouse, didn't you? Thought
Yeah.
I was gonna bunk up at the penthouse. Nope, nope. I can't. No, can't
No,
touch
no,
them.
no.
No, no. Now, if they win and beat Kansas City, maybe next week I might say, okay, maybe I'll stay at night at the fraudulent house. But no, not no. They got to show me something, and
Hey,
this is the game.
maybe Kansas City gets your fraudulent chant next week.
Oh, if they lose, then yeah, I think it's a three. There may be a new member in the fraudulent penthouse right there. I'm just loading them up.
um, so let's talk some playoff implications. There's a lot of them this week, and there's some
Mm-hmm.
games that are directly the teams playing each other directly implicate one another.
Mm-hmm.
One is my Colts, and A couple of weeks ago, I thought the Cincinnati game would probably be like, okay, this looks a lot easier than it did with Joe Burrow going down. But this Jake Browning kid looks pretty impressive, and we've been the Colts. I mean, we've been doing what we're supposed to. We've been grinding out the wins. We've been winning ugly, but
Mm-hmm.
we've really been shaky in these wins. Like some of these wins, I'm like, okay, I'm glad we won, but ooh, that was a little too close for comfort. So and this Browning kid, I don't know, I really like this kid. So I'm not really as confident going into this one as I was a little while ago.
Browning, you're right. He's legit, and I think what kind of won me over was during that game against the Jags when he had that nice touch pass to Chase for the touchdown, where I thought that ball was getting picked, and he just put the ball in the basket, and it was just after that the kid was on fire. So maybe this is the game where he truly like comes out and everyone's like, all right, this guy's legit. Because he was a winner in college. It wasn't like he was some
Oh
guy
yeah,
who was like the Division II, Sacred Heart University bum or something like that.
good heart.
Shout out to Sacred Heart. Much love, Sacred Heart Pioneers. Um, I think they're Division 1. I don't mean to disrespect you guys, but here's the thing with the Colts. This is it. As long as Minshew plays clean, you guys can win. It seems it's a tale of two halves. The first half, he lights it up. The hair is flowing. It's like, all right, here we go. And then the second half, he's throwing balls where no one would ever throw them. And it's like, thank God you're up by 20 points because you just gave up 19 because this guy's just giving the ball back. So
I've actually seen exactly that script the other way around too, as well this year.
yeah, so it's one of those things where are the Colts mentally built to win the games they have to win? Because now this is the time. This is the time. We got we got like 4 weeks left, 4 or 5 weeks left. Can you win the games you have to win? When it comes to Cincinnati, there's talent, but you got to go with Jake. And can he deliver? Can he keep you in contention? I think Cincinnati would love some help because it would be different if it was Joe. It was Joe Shiesty because at that point you're like, all right, Joe, just take us to the promised land, and you'll live and die on that arm. Everyone's saying the great things. Of course, when a young quarterback has that one game right off the bat where it's, ooh, look at that, he's good, and then he craps out for 3 or 4 weeks afterwards. So that's what this comes down to. If the Colts can limit mistakes and their defense plays as well as they have, they can win. But if it's a couple turnovers and this kid Jake is that guy who's going to be great throughout the rest of the year and be the new toy for everybody to love, then there's a problem. So,
Well, I mean, he's gotten a lot of help from the running game in that Jaguars game. Mixon had a great all round game, had over 100 all
mm-hmm.
purpose yards. Chase Brown, a rookie, was running bulldozers when he came in to spell Mixon. I mean, as far as we're concerned, our defense has played fantastic this year, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
extremely surprised. Like I knew we had a sound system. I knew we had some talent there, but with the lack of pass rush that we have, I'm very, very impressed with this defense. If we actually had a pass rush, we'd be near the top of the league in defense.
You guys your guys' pass rush is optimistic. Like at the right time is when it shows up. It may not be a constant, but they'll get that strip sack or, that fumble. It's just all comes down to Uncle Rico. That's what it comes down to. Uncle Rico can't try to put balls in holes that they're not supposed to be in. And
No,
if he does that and Taylor continues to run well and run strong, you guys can win this game. There's no
yeah,
doubt about it.
I think Taylor's got at least one more week till he's back. Um, but as long as as long as Moss didn't get any rust in since Taylor's return, he's fine
And
to
that's key
keep the
too.
ball
They need
rolling.
to keep Moss sitting there too. They need to use him, especially in the pass game. Use them both. You've got two quality backs. This is what you need to do. They need to use them.
Don't let Moss collect Moss.
Nope, because if not, he's going to go somewhere else and collect some moss in his pocket and cha-ching. That's what's going to happen.
Ching ching. Different kind of green.
Cha-ching. That's
Um,
right.
the other side of this AFC a South playoff picture is the fact that the Jaguars, coming off that loss to Cincinnati,
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence is now a game time decision going into this week's game against the Cleveland Browns. And you know what? I was very upset at Cleveland early in the season. The league kind of gifted them a win that they shouldn't have gotten at our hands, but they want to help me out a little bit. You know what?
Now they're your best friend.
Yeah. I mean, it's one
They're
thing. I'm kind of like honestly, like I'm kind of in a win-win situation. As long as we take care of business, I'm kind of in a
mm-hmm,
win-win situation one way or the other. Because either Cleveland loses and that tiebreak doesn't matter
mm-hmm.
because we'll be a full game up on them with us both sitting at 7-5 at the moment, or uh Jacksonville loses, and I know Jacksonville has a tiebreak. Of course, they swept us, but then we'll be dead even at 8-5.
This reminds me, your situation reminds me of one of those 90s high school rom-coms, like all of a sudden you and like the jock or the bully have to become friends because now you have a common enemy. And then at the end of it all, y'all are friends and hanging out and partying it up. That's what this reminds me of. So Jacksonville's in a heap of trouble.
Yeah,
I
not,
don't.
not a
I.
fan of CJ Beathard.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's gonna light it up. Like this isn't pretty right here. And then don't forget, they don't have freaking Kirk either. He's out with a core injury, which was crazy to see him get hurt with no one around him. Like I was like, what the heck happened? But these things happen. They've got to somehow figure it out. They got to get a run game going. They're gonna have to ground and pound it. I don't know if they're built for that.
and
So,
and not easy to do against Cleveland's defense, which is probably still the
right.
number one unit in the league.
But to their credit, I don't know who's starting quarterback for Cleveland. Is it Flacco?
I think it'll. Well, I think because unless DTR is healthy again this week, they'll probably still stay with Flacco.
So then basically you got Flacco who went like just over 200 yards last week, and there are a couple ducks he threw up. So it's like Jacksonville, if that's the case, maybe Jacksonville is, somehow scrapes a win together, but they're in a heap of trouble. They're in a heap of trouble right now. They need to. You can't rush Lawrence back. You can't rush him back. If his ankle's like that, then it's you just gotta let him heal. Guys have tried to come back from high ankle sprains and such, and it just doesn't work. You got to be smart.
Which team Sans quarterback has a better supporting cast that kind of carry their limping selves through across the finish line?
Oof. Wow. I'm gonna say Cleveland just because of the run game. They got two backs who they got Ford who's a bruiser, and then you got Kareem Hunt who can take a 5 yard pass and take it to the house. So I think they're built a little better now. Jacksonville, they've got weapons. They got I don't know. I don't know. I'm taking Cleveland. I think Cleveland is better, battle tested, ground and pound. I'm taking them. And it's just the quarterback situation just muffles everything up so bad. Like it really does. Like this could be the week Flacco all of a sudden throws for 320 yards, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, remember that run with the Ravens? Joe was incredible. Blah blah blah. Joe Cool. So I think Cleveland in the run game, but the Jacksonville defense is solid too. It's just whoever doesn't make the most mistakes is going to win this thing.
And which outcome of this game do you think best benefits my Colts?
Wow.
Do you think it's better for us to leapfrog Cleveland and have that game back, or do you think it's better to be tied with Jacksonville and hope for another Jags loss to keep us in the division hunt?
I think leapfrog. I think you go ahead, like you want the best outcome possible. Because I think that at that point, it's a situation where you guys are sitting there saying, you know what? We're the real deal. There we are. We're legit. We can win the division. Like you want the best outcome. You know, the tie is nice and all, but why not go for a straight? Here we are. We're running the division. Now, the flip side of that is saying, okay, Uncle Rico, don't be stupid now.
Mm,
We've got it. Yeah, we've got like four weeks or so left. We need to look at what we've got and what can we do not to lose it.
right.
And I think you just got to look more just what's going to get us in the playoffs. If it's not the division, if it's wild card, then so be it. Because once you get into the dance, anything's possible.
Let's stay in the South, but kick it over to the NFC side.
Oh
Um, and
Lord,
here your Tampa Bay Bucks, we were starting to get ready to write the swan song for the season, but here they are in a position where they could springboard themselves back into first place. Now you
I'm
did lose
telling
to
you,
Atlanta
man.
earlier, so this would split the
Mm-hmm.
division, split the season
Yes,
series, and you'd be
yes,
deadlocked in first place.
right. And I'll take that. I, I'm telling you, man, this Bucks team is just I don't know, man. It's either it's great or it's what the heck is going on. First of all, congratulations, Mike Evans, another 1,000 yard season. The man is Hall of Famer. Everyone show the man respect and love. One of the true elite wide receivers in the league. Give him his credit. Um, People try to dump on Baker, but you just can't. The man just keeps us in games. He really does. Like for every one pick he'll throw, he just somehow delivers a ball. As long as we're healthy, we've got a shot, as with almost anybody except Carolina in this division. But I think, poor Carolina, but I just feel that we have just enough to pull it out. Now, Atlanta, it's whatever you're going to get from the quarterback. Now as long as Bijan's playing, they gives them a shot. Their defense is decent. It's just what's the quarterback play in this game. I think it's whatever quarterback makes the least mistakes um, is gonna basically go a long way. We need to run the ball. We're starting to show a little more life in the run game, but it's just gonna be what team doesn't make the mistakes, and it's a toss up. I don't know. I would love to say without a doubt, yeah, we can take Atlanta, but I don't. I just don't know because we have those games where we're great, and then we have games where it's like, what are you doing? What are you this? That's what are you doing, man? Like in that Atlanta game, we could have won that game, but we didn't. So now our backs are against the wall, and we got to win. We got to win out. Every game is a playoff game, especially in the NFC South. What kind of helps is New Orleans is banged up, and Atlanta, you don't know what you're going to get. They barely beat the Jets, so it's like, all right, we just got to come up with a solid plan and see what happens. But this game, I think, tells the tale for the division.
Well, speaking of the Saints and speaking of the division, this really is effectively a three-horse race,
Mm-hmm.
especially if your Bucks win, because New Orleans gets effectively the second bye week of the season this week playing Carolina Panthers, and Tampa wins. New Orleans handles business, which they should because it's Carolina. Everyone's 6-7. So how does that shake out? We haven't really looked at the tie breaking situations, but how does a three headed race at 6-7 shape out to for the real favorite of this division?
I think that's at this point, the way the season's gone, you couldn't ask for anything else. You have a chance. At this point, you sit there and you say, okay, we control our destiny. If we don't win out, if we don't do what we need to do, then we can only look to ourselves. And
They can
then you
all
begin
say
the Oh
that.
yeah, they definitely all can say that. Everyone was ready to give New Orleans the division in the preseason. Oh, they're the complete team. Carr is this, Carr is that, and now it looks like Jameis could play this week. So it's one of those deals where you're like, all right, well, we're not out of it yet, so let's see what happens. We won that division 8-9 last year. It's not how you want to go about it, but like I said, as long as you get into the dance, anything can happen. You hope, we've got some guys nicked up. Just hope they're healthy and you just go in and just do the best you can.
Yeah, and that'll really shape up the rest of the season with 4 games left or whatever. That
Mm-hmm.
6-7, you really just need to go 500 to hold serve at last year's pace. And
Exactly.
there's a lot of divisional games. I think I can't remember the combination, but one of the combinations in this division still have two games against each other.
Yeah. So it's just you got to win out. You got to go in and just assume that you've got to win out to make it, and you go in with that mentality, and hopefully, your team comes out on top.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Derek Carr is an interesting situation because if he was the Derek Carr that Vegas saw for several years, then New Orleans really would have been running away with his division. But this year, he really hasn't looked any better than Jameis than what we know Jameis historically has.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. He hasn't looked good. They've had injuries. It's just I think everyone just looked. Oh, and Michael Thomas has been out. So they've had their issues, and I think everyone was quick to say, okay, well, just on paper they look to be the best, so here it is. And that's as what are we prognosticators? That's what we are.
Prognosticating.
Yeah, and that's what you do. But yeah, it just goes to show you that just because that's what you see, preseason and what's on paper doesn't that's not the product you're going to get. And I honestly think, especially in the Saints case, you need to look at that team and say, you know what? There needs to be an overhaul. Like, really, you need to look at that team and say, you know what? These aren't the Drew Brees Saints and move on. You just can't stick a, band-aid on it and think, yeah, you're going to win the division. This proves the point. And Atlanta, they have talent. If, Desmond Ritter could play up to what they thought he was, they very well could have been a good couple games ahead
He
in the
could play
division.
up to half of what they thought he was.
Well, that and if they played actually Bijan and
Yeah.
didn't have him disappear for like 3 games, then it would be talking a different story. So it's
What
one of those things where one of these three teams is going to have to go on a mini run.
what do you got coming out of this one? Do you think we will have a three-team tie atop the NFC South on Monday morning?
Wow. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. I'm
Saints
going.
take
Yes.
care of business. Tampa grits it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. I think Tampa Falcons is going to be one of those games where one play makes it happen. Um, Saints have got to be able to beat Carolina. If they don't beat Carolina, then there is a problem there. And I think people will start to say, well, maybe the head coach isn't the guy either. So,
Yeah.
but no, I'm thinking they'll be wake up Monday morning and going, yeah, yeah, who wants what? Here it is, 6-7.
uh let's stay in the NFC and talk some wild card implications because it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a mess. The Packers have made this a mess because they've flown their way back in. And the
One
Rams have
love.
made this a mess too because they crashed the party too. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got now a situation where the Rams are on the road against Baltimore. That's obviously a steep task to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings are on the road in Vegas, 3-point favorites, but on the road, but off a bye. So who knows? And the
Mm-hmm.
Seahawks really coming off not the greatest stretch and again beat down in that shootout with Dallas. They're they're getting a whopping 13 points against the Niners. So the Rams sit in eighth. The Vikings sit in sixth. We know the 5 seed is locked up because it's whoever doesn't win the NFC East. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the Seahawks are ninth. The Seahawks looked like they were flying pretty not
Mm-hmm.
that long ago, and two of these three teams are currently out of the playoffs. But the Rams have a tiebreaker over the Seahawks due to a season sweep of them. So, I, who out of these three teams really does have the best shot to capture one of those last two wild card berths? Is it the Rams? Is it Minnesota? Is it Seattle?
I'd I'd like to say the Rams. It'd be kind of like a cool story, a bunch of young kids led by the old man quarterback, one last ride kind of deal. I don't know. I don't think they have it because either their offense is on or it's not. So then you're leaving me Seattle.
Because we've also got to factor in the Packers too, and we can talk more about them
Yeah.
on the post game show because they play on Monday. but we've got to factor in the Packers as well.
Uh, I think right now you kind of have to say Seattle. They feel like the more complete team to
Hmm.
me, but it's whether they can do it. They've got. I think they have enough pieces to do it. Like they're not a bad team, but yeah, after that Dallas drubbing, you kind of know what you're going to get with Seattle, and I think it's enough to grab that playoff spot. But they got to win.
And schedule, of course, plays a big factor too. And we can get into
Mm-hmm.
this more on the post game show. But they're coming off the game against Dallas. They got the Niners now, so they do not have a favorable schedule right at the moment, and the Packers do. So you almost have to think edge Packers to get one of those spots. So there's really just one spot available for these three clubs.
At this point, you almost flip a coin and say, okay, you put Seattle on one, the Rams on the other. Like you said, Seattle's schedule isn't exactly, the best. So they're going to have to pull off something, and, being down, 13 to the Niners isn't exactly the way to start this run, but stranger things have happened. It's the NFL, but I say Seattle just because they're a little more complete. But if the Rams were to somehow pull this out, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Do you think we're not going to have any clearer picture on this discussion after Sunday's over? Because again, Rams are playing Baltimore, Seattle's playing San Francisco. Those are not looking like logical wins.
In
And
theory, we're saying,
Minnesota has Vegas. Well, obviously they're not the best team, but they've played a lot better since Antonio Pierce took over. So you could have all three of them losing.
and that's what I think is going to happen. I think what it is that, especially in that Vikings game, all those guys in Vegas love Pierce. I think they want him to be the guy going forward. So I think they're going to do everything in their power to win that game. And the Vikings, we've been all about, the astronaut, the man himself, Josh, Mr. Dobbs himself. He's been a great story, no doubt about it. But before the bye, they kind of faltered a little bit. They haven't there's been real consistency in that offense. Now, I don't know if Justin's coming back for this game or if he's still, sitting out till he's 100% from the injury.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I my gut tells me all three teams lose.
No, no, nothing figured out. Another week, nothing figured
No,
out.
because you know what? If it did, we'd be talking for like 10 minutes and the show would be over. Come on
That's
now.
right. And it would probably be an extra week at the end of the season that the NFL wouldn't have a storyline.
Exactly. But they'd figure something out. The lights would
Yeah.
go out, the turf would lift up, something would happen.
Yeah. Now we'll kick it over to the AFC because there's two more teams in the hunt for wild card spots that we have not
Mm-hmm.
discussed. Uh, Houston is currently holding one of them due to that atrocious loss by the Pittsburgh Steelers this week to the Patriots.
Oh,
Honestly,
actually,
I couldn't honestly I couldn't pick a team I would have rather lost in that game because I hate both of them.
actually, I'm glad you said that because that brings me to my third team in the fraudulent penthouse. Welcome, Pittsburgh Steelers. The greatest 500 coach of all time couldn't beat Mr. Zappy and the sad New England Patriots. I thought they were going to hang 40 on them. For some reason, the Patriots forgot offense in the second half, but it didn't matter because the Steelers couldn't do squat still, anyways. So, yeah, Steelers, nice move. Nice move. Basically, just wrote yourself out of the playoffs in theory, really. Losing to New England. New England still sticking it to you, and New England sub 500. Think about it.
Way sub 500.
Like at this point, I think they're a top five pick right there, man. It's gonna be great to see, but like really, Belichick's still sticking it to guys, even though he sucks. But we digress. So
Yes.
yeah, Houston's sitting in that last spot. You know what? Houston's doing what Houston does now. They've got some injuries there. Tank's hurt. He's out for the year. I think broken fibula. So I think that
That's
affects the
rough.
offense a little bit. So it's They don't fear anybody, and I love that about that team. They're young. They think they can beat anybody, and I think that's going to help them through the rest of the season. They just got to win, point blank. They just have to win. They're not. They're a young team, so of course those young things come up, but they're not a bad team. They're just young, and if you know Ryans can keep their head straight, they could be walking into the playoffs. So
Yeah,
go
I mean,
Houston.
they're holding that spot, but still kind of in the bubble. I mean, like I said, they're
Right.
holding that spot just because Pittsburgh's. Um. Anyway, the other team on the bubble is a team that we had fun kicking around and wrote off pretty early on. This Denver Broncos. They went on a hell of a run, 5-game winning streak at one point, before hitting the skids, and now they go to the other resident tenant of your fraudulent penthouse. That's Los Angeles Chargers, and I guess they're still technically on the bubble. They're grasping for life, but I mean, Denver's the dog here on the road. Houston's the favorite, also on the road. So I mean, how does this shake up? I mean, we kind of figure Houston will take care of business because it's the Jets. But will Denver take care of business and stay in contention, or is this kind of, or do the Chargers have kind of like one last one last fight puncher's chance?
Denver's going to win by like 20. I can't trust the Chargers for
20.
anything. They only put up 6 against New England, so you're telling me here that all of a sudden they're going to wake up on Sunday morning and the offense is going to be there raring to go? Come on. I can't trust the Chargers for anything. All right, so it won't be 20 points, but I could see Denver pulling it out by 3, or something like that. Basically, how this shapes up is Denver's Denver, so we really don't have any expectation. Like, okay, this was like the year where new coach and stuff. They were going to try to figure it out. They started out absolutely ridiculously bad. Then like you said, they caught fire. So we're still trying to figure out what they're going to be going forward. Chargers, they lose this game. I'm sorry, man. Coach is gone. He's got to be gone. Party's got to be over. At
I,
that point, you've probably written yourself out of the playoffs. Time for a new voice.
I
This is
was
this is his job.
I was gonna ask. We have to have the Brandon Staley watch. I mean, that is like what's the what? I mean, this has to be the week, right?
It's they may if they know they're out of the playoffs, they may just finish it off. Let the guy get a couple more paychecks or whatever, and then move on from him. But yeah, if they lose this game, it's got to be the okay. Black Monday's coming soon. You're gone. Like it has to. Like this team with all this talent has just underachieved beyond belief.
Do you think? I mean, do you think Kellen Moore is taking any kind of hits to his reputation? The fact that like it's still his offense, even though he's not the head coach, it's still his offense. Or do you think he's just kind of like going in kind of hush hush 3/4 at 3/4 only 3/4 effort because he knows this because he knows Staley's a walking steak
The
end.
dead man walking.
Yeah. Sorry, words escaping.
Here's the thing. Not necessarily because it's the players around the field. They got to perform too. It's not all just the coaching. Yeah, I'll give Staley that, but at the end of the day, I think his voice has just fallen on deaf ears. I think they need a little life, a little something. Maybe he has a hand in the offense that we don't really know about either. Maybe he's like, nope, I don't like that play. Let's do something else. We don't know. Maybe Moore just hasn't been able to use his full complement in the playbook. Plus, don't forget he's had some wide receivers injured and stuff. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that part. But it's your decision making that's ruined you. Going for it on fourth downs like it's nothing, like it's a game of Madden because you can just hit the reset button and such. So no, I think once what's his name's gone, I think the plan is they're just gonna let this play out, and Kellen Moore is gonna be the golden boy for at least the first year. I think you'll see that offense all of a sudden explode and such, but no, nah, if they don't win this game, it's got to be party over. Got to be.
What? How do you think the AFC wild card is going to look after this week between Indy? maybe Cincy, Cleveland, Houston, Denver, Pittsburgh even, but where I know we're having fun with
No,
them.
I at this point, I don't even put Pittsburgh in the conversation. I don't. You can't trust them. It's really tough. They not counting the Denver Chargers game. Houston has a winnable game as long as they can keep CJ upright because Jets have a great defense. It's just their offense that's anemic. Um, so Cincy, they kind of it's up to them. They've got to survive. They have to hope that Jake can play decent ball. So come Monday, I think you kind of see where everybody's at, and then you go from there. This is the week where everybody's got to perform. You're going to see who want. I think you see the coaching preparation. You see who wants it and who just doesn't have it. So I think this is the week where you can kind of say, all right, I believe this team, this team, this team, this team. Don't let's get rid of them and just let it ride.
Well, we let it ride. Let's ride.
That's right.
And you know what? I really wanted to. As much as I enjoyed seeing the Steelers lose, I really wanted to see the Patriots get a 10th loss because every moment of this season has been so rewarding to me to watch them crash and burn. But you know what? Alas, I'll take a Steelers loss too. That's perfectly okay in my book. Bucks McGee, it's been a heck of a week already. Just off the fun we had with that, and off the fun we've had in this conversation. We'll be live after the games conclude to break them all down. This show, as always, airs Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube and Rumble, and our sidecar show a few hours earlier on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We'll be live after game. Bucks McGee, take us off.
Week 14, guys. If your teams are in the hunt, good luck. If not, get ready. Start polishing off that, draft pick status. Figure out who you want. Everyone knows the college football playoffs are a hot mess, so see where you guys are going to fall. Nutmeg, it's been awesome. Can't wait to see what happens. And who knows, maybe by the end of all this, you guys are sitting in first place looking all pretty.